Alright, welcome to Open Mic Wrestling Night here live on Twitch, twitch.tv/Calypso426. And if you are not listening on the live window, we are on the 28th day of February. And good grief, February is already over. February 28th, 2019. You are listening by way of iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, and all other podcast applications. And of course, the Fill in the Void podcast network, Spreaker.com/filling_the_void. Welcome to Open Mic Wrestling Night here, live again on Twitch. Thank you all for tuning in. If you're tuning in, now I'm getting texts about other things. So I have a bunch to talk about here. Again, it's loaded here today. I have Logan Black coming on at 8:30. Looking forward to catching up with him and talk about him in his world of pro wrestling and what he is up to these days. Then also we're going to talk, as you see in the show description, if you're watching live on Twitch, is we have WWE programming comments. So basically, do we notice the change already with Bruce Pritchard being on board for a week, especially on Raw? And then AEW's latest sponsorship, or partnership, I should say. And I didn't throw this on the main page because I didn't have enough room. But one thing I wanted to get involved with and talk about is independent wrestling legend Lufisto. She will be calling it a career. 2019 will be her last year in pro wrestling. After 20 plus years in wrestling, she is calling it a day. Unfortunately, due to a series of injuries, or one main injury that kind of really derailed things for her. And I will get into that a little bit later because I'll read her statement in which she put out on her Facebook, and we'll talk about it from there. And it's really becoming a little bit of a wild week in pro wrestling. You have The Undertaker looking to start a podcast, which would be awesome. And I believe, from what I've been reading, Conrad, the co-host of Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard, will be with The Undertaker on this venture. So that's something to talk about. There's really a lot to get into here. I don't even know where to start. Let's just start with the WWE programming here for a second, because the programming on WWE, for those who've watched Raw over the last several months, I mean, you see the reports that ratings are at all-time lows. You see that just things aren't, and the programming seemed lazy, and finally the news broke out last week, which I discussed on Saturday Live, which you could also pick up the show on Spreaker.com/filling_the_void, or any of the podcast applications which I mentioned before. I found it interesting, and in a way, after thinking about it for a little bit, it's like, as much as they're talking about change and making changes and fresh faces and everything else of the like, where now they're relying on somebody from the past, a big part of WWE's success creatively in the past, to kind of help bring the ratings back, or, give the product a little bit of a kick in the pants, which I have no problem with, to be honest. Despite everybody saying, oh, so much for new faces, so much for the... But, I believe Bruce Pritchard, since he was Vince's right-hand man pretty much, as it's been basically described as, he is now kind of right back into his old position to help the product, which tells us a bunch of things. First and foremost, obviously somebody, I don't know who, somebody got into Vince McMahon's ear and was like, hey dude, you really need to make a change to programming. You need to make a change somewhere. The product just isn't good, and now we're kind of all suffering for it. I think a lot of it too has to do with, I mean, I'm sure AEW has something to do with it. It's not going to be everything, obviously, because they don't even have an announced television deal yet. I will say this though, they're trying, and you could see with this week's past programming that they are giving it a try, that they're looking to make some changes. They're looking to spice things up a little bit, if you will. And if you watched Raw this past week, you definitely have that that impression that they're making those changes, or they're making an effort. When you're going with Raw and you see Becky coming around, KO's tats look shitty. I actually don't mind them. I gotta be honest, and we'll get to Kevin Owens in just a little bit, but I don't mind his tattoos, honestly. The reason why I think they look so bad is because they're incomplete. It's obviously a part of a larger arm piece that he's going to hopefully wind up completing. But I thought they were cool, but good to see that he was productive on his time off. Anyway, so you get, the Becky segment, everything with Ronda, which I thought was really good. Obviously, Roman Reigns kicking off the show, announcing that he is in remission, which is awesome. That he is back into remission, the cancer is back into remission, and now he can resume wrestling and the life that he seems to love, which is awesome. Because that's all you want out of somebody, is be able to do what they want to do and do what they love. So that's definitely something very positive. That was a very positive way to kick off the show. And now, again, the Ronda segment was good. The tag team match was really good, even despite the Revival losing. I have a feeling they're setting up a Four Corners match between Ricochet and Black, DIY, Revival, and Rude and Gable. I think that's what's going to wind up happening. Yeah, and I don't know why people think that. But to be honest, it's Vince McMahon. I mean, that's why people are kind of like, oh, well, this will work, but it is pro wrestling. It is Vince McMahon. He had God as a tag team partner for Shawn Michaels. Let's just throw that out there. Nothing is but you also got to figure, and people that don't understand this, they're a publicly traded company. And if that got out that it was actually a work, can you imagine the repercussions that the WWE and Vince McMahon in particular would face from shareholders, from sponsors, everything? Like, it would be a PR nightmare. So people don't understand that it would be basically suicide for the company if that actually was a work. So, yeah, no, that's a bunch of bullshit. But either way, then like I said, you get the Becky segment. Then you figure, okay, for Ric Flair's birthday, you have you're gonna have Becky coming out of jail and beating the crap out of Flair or something. Then all of a sudden you get Batista coming back. He beats up Ric Flair behind closed doors, brings him out, and asks Triple H, hey, do I have your attention? That was awesome. And it's been a long time since a wrestling show, especially WWE, has made me literally gasp out loud. Oh my god, holy shit, did that really just happen? I didn't see it coming. And it was awesome. That's stuff that I like, that you don't see it coming. So, kudos to WWE for making Raw. Actually, Raw was really good. Raw was really good this week. And then SmackDown was really good. So, everyone's complaint is, well, Kevin Owens is in the match, not Kofi. Batista's nose ring. It's Batista. I'm just happy that but he obviously wants to be there. He's made it known that he wants to be there, and he feels like that he could really help the product. So it's great to see him back, nose ring and all. And quite frankly, and I said this to a friend of mine, I hope he wears the blue attire just out of spite of everybody. Considering, obviously, it looks like they're going for the heel character with him. I would love to to see wear the blue attire just to piss everybody off at WrestleMania. Just be like, oh, Blue Tista's back. So, I would actually really like to see that. KO versus Daniel Bryan at Fastlane now. Kofi's out of the mix for now. My guess would be that Kofi will get his match, but at WrestleMania. So I really believe that that's where because Kofi's obviously white hot right now with the crowd and everyone's behind him, and they're going to, I think with something so white hot, so organic, if you will. What is it? With, oh God, I just lost it. Oh, with something so organic and so hot, so popular. It's very reminiscent, and it's ironic, very reminiscent of Daniel Bryan back in WrestleMania 30. If they spoiled that moment for Fastlane, I think that would be doing Kofi a disservice. Because yeah, he's earned that WWE Championship match, but I think the real true reward for somebody like Kofi and the work that he's put in and the fanfare that's behind him, I think that match is best served at WrestleMania. And we'll still get a great match out of KO and Daniel Bryan at Fastlane. So, good to see KO back. Good to that Daniel Bryan and him are doing a program. And just SmackDown and Raw both this week have been really good. 205 Live, NXT UK, and NXT were all really good this week. So, but I already expect that out of all the programs that are run by Triple H, meaning 205 and both NXT brands. Did I see the back and forth on social media between Ronda and Becky? Yes. Yes, I did see that. Everyone's talking about, oh, she's transphobic and this, that. Stop. I think it's hilarious. The whole back and forth is hilarious. They're working,